picture class right now, the teacher would say, everyone on your syllabus turn to the number 2 seeded teams as they are taking on each other in the AFC and the NFC on Christmas Eve. I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys, and don't say it, another game on the road. But this time they have to go to Miami. What would a win over the Cowboys mean for the Dolphins, Jason?
You know what's so fun about this? You just said the Cowboys have to go on the road, and we've talked about them and how they can't do that. But also for the Miami Dolphins, they're now playing a team with a winning record. And the Dolphins at 10-4, we continue, all of us, poking holes at them because you continue to find something. Whether it's like, all right, they're 10-1 against teams that are 500 or below, but they're have not beaten a team with a winning record. 0-3 so far on the season. That was the Bills, the Chiefs, and the Eagles they all fell short to. And then Tyreek Hill gets hurt against the Tennessee Titans, and it's just like, well, this offense just looked terrible without Tyreek Hill. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't do anything. Then they played the Jets this past week, and they put 30 points on the Jets, a really good defense without Tyreek Hill. Tua can't throw the ball deep. He's throwing it deep to Jalen Waddle, and then he's mocking everybody. He's doing the talk to me with his hands, and he said it could mean anything. And we all know what it means. There's so many naysayers that no matter what this Dolphins team does at 10-4, we continue to find reasons of why they can't be the team in the NFL or win a Super Bowl and things of that nature. They can win this game against the Dallas Cowboys. It'll be their first time beating a winning football team. It will be at home, and I think it just propels them, obviously, to a game with the Baltimore Ravens that means so much. But I think on top of that, it silenced some of the talk about the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have been hot, and we continue to say they're coming storming in. And we're talking about them possibly winning the division with this last game of the season being matched up against the Miami Dolphins. I think for a week it kind of silences that because we start to look and we're like, well, maybe this Miami Dolphins team is for real and they can get it done.
You know, I look at this Dolphins team and they win 30-0. So on paper you're like, all right, they're back. They are also so banged up right now. I need to see what version we're getting on Sunday. Are we getting Tyreek Hill against Deron Bland and the Dan Quinn defense? Are we getting Austin Jackson, the offensive tackle who left during the Jets game? Are we getting Xavier Howard?
The entire secondary.
Are we getting Javon Holland? Are we getting Deshaun Elliott? It's almost like we look at the score, 30-0 to beat the Jets. All right, the Dolphins are like, they played the Jets with an arm behind their back, tied behind their back. So the Dolphins' win would be enormous, but almost like, who's on the field? What are we getting? Because I think Miami, if they're going to compete in the AFC playoffs, they're going to need all those guys, and that's the version of the Dolphins that's going to be able to contend for a Super Bowl. If they go in with half of those players, or if Howard's down and Tyreek might play, but then we don't have Deshaun Elliott or Javon Holland, there's serious questions, and then we're going to all do rush to judgment and say, well, they lost to another good team. That was it. The Cowboys are coming in, and they know they need to win. The Dolphins are an absolute mash unit right now. If they can win despite those injuries, well, then I might be putting my eggs in their basket and saying, okay, well, they've overcome some things here. Maybe that Tennessee loss was a fluke. Maybe that Tennessee loss was just something that happens in a season and it woke them up. But gosh, they need to get healthy, and they need to get those guys back on the field. 30-0 win or not, that was cool. Everyone stepped up. They're not competing with the Ravens, the Chiefs, and the rest of those guys without Holland, without Howard, and, of course, without Tyreek.
In a way, the Bills did them a disservice by destroying the Cowboys by so much because they lowered the Cowboys' stock.
Interesting.
Whereas if the Dolphins beat the Cowboys, some will say, yeah, but the Cowboys are trash now. You still haven't beaten anyone, which is ridiculous. The health thing, sure. It's just Tyreek. Is he playing? I think he is the most important non-quarterback in the league. I think he's more important than McCaffrey. I think he's more important than Kelsey, all those. In fact, the way backup quarterbacks are playing this year, he might be one of the most important players in general. Like, it's that important. So I still don't know what we're doing with him. If you remember the last time we saw him, leaves the game, stands around for 90 minutes, comes back, is productive, and then doesn't play. So it's not a cataclysmic injury, of course, but these are huge games for him. And as much as we as fans want to see the Miami Super Bowl, meaning Bills, Dolphins in Week 18. I don't think the Dolphins want to see that. They want to be able to chill. True. And the Bills lost a couple games, and we went out, and let's rest everybody. They don't want that. I asked you, Jason, so 30-0. Was the defense that good and that inspired, or was it the Jets' offense is that bad? That's a shutout.
Both. The defense played really well, and it's an NFL team, but we've watched the Jets offense with Trevor Siemian. I'm not going to sit there and say, like, no, the Jets offense was unbelievable. But what was impressive, they put up 30 points. The Jets defense is really good.
That's true.
So then without Tyreek Hill still being able to be productive, but the Jets offense is terrible right now.
Kyle, you mentioned a couple times in your take the elephant in the room or the bill in the room when it comes to this matchup this weekend between the Cowboys and the Dolphins, and the fact that the Dolphins have to deal with not only a Cowboys team coming into town, but a surging Bills team, as the Dolphins are still somehow in a race for the East despite Buffalo stumbling earlier this season, as we take a look at what Miami and Buffalo have left to deal with on the rest of their schedules. All right, so we see it. Dolphins, it is formidable. You host the Cowboys, you go to Baltimore, and then you host the Bills. Bills, we'll see. Cross-country trips are tough. Josh Allen likes to watch the movies on the way there and on the way back. And then the Pats, and then, of course, that Week 18 matchup, that could be the NBC Sunday Night Flex game because it could have such major impact. Concerned with the Dolphins and the surging Bills? Anyone at the table buy into that?
No, because if you're on the Miami Dolphins, like the Buffalo Bills, they're way up there. Like, we're not worried about them up in Western New York because what we've done so far in the season allows us to control our own destiny. Yes, the Buffalo Bills, they're coming, they're playing well, but if you just continue to win your football games, you'll go into that last one against the Buffalo Bills, and you're like, all right, we win this game, we'll be all right. I think it's for the Buffalo Bills are the team that's concerned with others because they're on the outside looking in. They have to continue to win, and then things have to fall in the right place for them to be able to get into the dance. If I'm the Miami Dolphins, we don't have time to be concerned about them. Let's just stay concerned about ourselves. Straight to your point, let's stay concerned about our health, getting our guys out there on the field. Because if we go out there and we play the way we know that we're capable of and we win football games, we don't have to worry about who's surging behind us. We can start to look at everything that's in front of us.
Look, the playoffs already started for them. It started for them. They had to win last week against the Jets. If they lost against the Jets, suddenly the world is melting and everything's coming to an end. And look at this schedule. That was a big win against the Jets. They've got the Cowboys and the Ravens the next 2 weeks. Like, I don't think they're thinking about the Bills. They've got to get the Cowboys and the Ravens games. And, you know, what's interesting is the Ravens, they play the 49ers this week.
Yeah. Yep.
And so forget the Bills in the rear view. Dolphins could be looking at the 1 seed. So if the Dolphins can take care of their business, there is a very, very good chance that the Dolphins could not only be hosting the AFC Championship game, but they could have a bye in 2 playoff games in their own building, which I think, and we've talked about this, is a huge advantage. That stadium is hot. The sun is different the way it comes down. Visiting teams hate playing in Miami. It's not the cold weather thing that we usually hear in January. It's that hot weather that teams aren't conditioned for. So to me, I'm not worried about Buffalo. I'm worried about taking care of business and thinking on the positive. Hey, we control our own destiny in a lot of ways. If the Ravens don't beat the 49ers this weekend, well, suddenly the number 1 seed in a real path to the Super Bowl is in our hands.
Yeah. Also, I think even if the game was this weekend, I don't think they're concerned or afraid of the Bills. These are division rivals who played heated games. They've beaten these Bills. They've been beaten by these Bills. This feels like an NBA rivalry, like old Bulls Pistons back in the day. A lot of familiarity, a lot of chirping. Like, even if they do lose 1 or 2 and they have to welcome the Bills Week 18, they're not afraid. They're not intimidated in any way. You know, I hate assuming wins. It's hard for us because we're all looking at Week 18. And I would love to say that I'm concerned about the Bills going to the Chargers. It's a Saturday. It's week. They have a new coach. The new coach, if Herbert was there, I'd be concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Chargers thing was so bad last week. But we all kind of just decided, I'll speak for everyone, as fans of the game, you look at that Week 18 game and you're like, oh, that would be so fun. It would just be so cool as a fan. If you're the Dolphins, you're like, screw that. We're going to beat Dallas. Yeah. We're going to beat Baltimore. And Buffalo isn't all that. They're going to lose one of these games. It's not going to matter that much. Yeah. We want it as a present because just the matchup is so good. And I said it yesterday. I hope it's 150 degrees and the Bills just have to deal with it. But if you're the Dolphins, you're like, let's not even let it get to that. Let's start now.
I love playing how we look at this picture because we have like this great information in front of us on the AFC. If
Nuggets?
The Bills could just jump up to 7, let's say, and the Dolphins hang at 2, that means in back-to-back weeks the Bills stay in Miami.
Back-to-back years, they play them in the wild card round, and they play them 3 times. You want to talk about a real rivalry.
Right, but to close your season that way, and then what, you're going to stay down there all week? Like, I guess that's one way to get acclimated.
Let me ask you guys, who do you think wants to see the Bills less? Would it be the Dolphins or the Chiefs as a 2 seed, seeing the Bills come in at 7 and knowing that the Bills have had such success at Arrowhead?
Oof.
Who does, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like Dolphins, like Bills is like, oh, God, we don't want to play our rivals ever. But then the Chiefs, you see Josh Allen coming into Arrowhead again. Right. Some scar tissue.
The Bills have beaten both teams this year. And the Bills don't have a ton of wins, but they've beaten both those teams. I think if you're the Chiefs, I think you would be more annoyed and disappointed to see them because the Chiefs team is not great right now. And Allen is really good in that stadium. I'd rather welcome to Miami. I feel good about that.
I agree. And to your point, division rivalries like Miami, Buffalo, we know each other. Like, there's no surprises. We know each other. I know the Chiefs and the Bills have played a lot as of late, but 2-3 times a year is totally different.